Hello and welcome to Gabbett Media. I'm Grant Abbott and today we're looking at run cycles and it's number 5 in our animation challenge. Hopefully you're enjoying yourselves and learning a lot. I certainly learnt a lot in this particular one and I'll share with you the details of that. Also looked at lots of tutorials. There was one in particular that I thought was really good, so do check the description for that one as well. And the other thing that I used a lot was the Animators Survival Kit. I'll put a link in the description for that. I'll have an affiliated link, so if you click on that, you'll be supporting me. But it's well worth it. This one has lots of details, lots of pages on run cycles and walk cycles and things. And yeah, there's loads of details in that. It's one of those things that most animators have read, apparently. I haven't read it all yet. I just tend to look at the pictures. Anyway, so on to the challenge today. I'd looked at so many references that I was kind of scared to start, and you kind of have to put that to one side and just go for it. And you know it's going to go wrong, you know it's not going to look great, but that's learning and that's what you need to do to get better. So the first time you sort of approach these things is always the hardest, but I feel like I'm getting better slowly but surely. So I'm doing this one slightly differently. I'm going to show a lot of your work at the end, and I've squeezed mine down to only sort of less than 7 minutes in fact. So I think, so hopefully it'll be a bit more interesting for you guys, and there'll be a bit more about you rather than all about what I'm doing. But I will go through a few things. The rig I'm using is an adaptation of the cartoon guy, and it's from Kaj, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Kaj Fisher, and he's edited it slightly so it's much easier to sort of handle and use in 2.8. Unfortunately 2.8 went wrong for me, so I had to go back to 2.7. It kept crashing. 2.79 I had to go back to. You saw me just blocking out, and I showed the final sort of blocking out stage there. It's really important to get that pretty close to what you're trying to achieve, and then it's splining people call it, but going in to your graph editor. I thought, right, I'm going to really look at the graph editor closely this time and try and figure some things out. And on the tutorial that I mentioned, they talked about the graph editor and when the foot hits the ground making that vector, so there's a thud, but it didn't quite work out for me. I wasn't quite getting that, but it turned out fine. But I didn't really seem to benefit from going in and doing that too much. What I did enjoy as well was the animation motion paths. So they're in the armature display settings. If you put, you choose a bone, you press calculate for obviously your time length of your animation, and it shows you the path that it's going on. That's really, really useful for things like run cycles and walk cycles, because they have curves, they have that flow to them, and that's really important to get that flow right. And when you go into the graph editor, you should be looking at your curves and making sure nothing's too far out. If it is, there's possibly a problem there, generally speaking. So the motion paths were really useful. What I really struggled with in the middle here, and there's a pause at the moment because what I'm looking up is how you can not just, I know you can copy a pose from one side of the, your mesh or armature to the other, but I thought, what about if I've worked on a whole animation on one leg, can I then copy that across to the other? Well, it turns out you can. I looked at CG Master's tutorial. I'll put that in the description, but I'm going to do a tutorial myself because there's a couple of bits that I really got stuck on and it was driving me insane. You have to delete the keyframes of one of your legs and then sort of copy all the graph curves from one to the other. But again, I'll do a tutorial on this, but what I failed to see was that you have to insert a keyframe in order to paste loads of keyframes in, and I only keyframed the location, so it was only pasting the location in. So a weird error, and it's difficult to describe, but that took me a good half hour to figure out. But now I figured it out. I've had lots of practice bringing in one side animations to the other, not just the pose but the animation as well, and that saves a lot of time in the long run. So hopefully my animations will start to improve in terms of the time it takes, hopefully, all going well. So at this point, so we've finished the blocking out, I've gone into the curves and started tidying things up, using my motion paths to see the sort of the flow of the different elements. Another thing that someone said on the tutorial, the person, I ought to know their name really, but I think it's just something, their YouTube channel is something like Learn Animation or something. Anyway, one other thing I learned from them was to delay, so the hand movement, so it goes across here and then moves up and then back. So to get this sort of delay, so the hand is obviously moving further and sort of slower in a sense than my forearm. And to get that delay, you sort of you move it so it's sort of one frame afterwards, and you sort of push it further forward. It explains it in that tutorial, so have a look at that. Really, really worth looking at. I'm very pleased that I saw that. It's one of the first ones that comes up actually when you type in walk cycle into Google. That animation, that YouTube video comes up. Now there are a few things I've listed here. Yeah, I've mentioned the cartoon guy Rig, and I'll try and post a link to that. He's fine for me to upload it. I think it's all Creative Commons, and it's fine to re-upload these things and modify them, so that won't be a problem, I don't think. So if I forget, remind me. If you're watching this like a year later or something, then I may have taken it down. Do apologise, but I'm probably trying to find space on my Google Drive. Anyway, I think I'm pretty much there. Here's some of your work. I forgot to put my final piece, but it's at the end in there. But here's some of your work. Good stuff. Now, what I need from you, it's much easier to download these things on Discord, so I can just press one button that's downloaded, and it does take a long time for me to do this. So I've managed to get most people's from Discord, and some of them I've played twice because they're really short. So you might want to, if it's a walk cycle or something, just put it a few times on your video. So make your videos about, I don't know, at least 5 seconds long or something. There is a space issue, I think, on Discord, so watch out for that one. There is some sound to some of these as well, so you can probably hear the sound in the background. I'll try not to write over it this time, which I failed last time. I'm still getting used to this process. It's a tricky one, trying to collate everybody's work. It takes a long time, so I can't just go in, download, go into YouTube, download, go to a YouTube download. It would just take too long. I really like that one for anger. We're past anger, obviously. We're past our anger. But I thought that one's really exceptional, so I thought I'd put that one in. Again, there's some really great work coming out. Watch out with your walk cycles, watch out, and your run cycles as well, not doing the same leg and arm moving forward and backwards at the same time. So I say lots of people, a few people were doing that. In fact, here we go, there's one. The arm and the leg moving at the same time, so the whole body's sort of moving. It doesn't quite work, so watch out for that. There's another really good angry one from Julius Lee there that I thought I'd include because it's brilliant. Sorry if you're only appearing on part of the screen. The only way I could do this was to do a screen capture, because going into each video and just all these clicks was taking, let's say, 2 minutes of video, and with I don't know, there's sort of 20 or so people's videos, it takes a long time to just collate, let alone do a video. So I'm very sorry that some of these things are not coming out the best that they could, if that makes sense. But I did want to show more people's work because it's great fun, and that's part of the process, part of the challenge, and as a reward for your hard work, you get to be on the video. I don't know if that's anything that special, but maybe it will be to you. That's great. I shouldn't have shown that one because that's a run cycle, and that's next week's. You'll be seen twice now, you like to think. Anyway, Monty Python Ministry of Silly Walks, nice idea there. Some crazy stuff happening there. I think it would be even better if you sort of animated the top half a little bit, even if it's supposed to be still, a bit of movement, so it's not so rigid. Nice one there from Mark Herman. Again, Mark's doing some nice work. I notice he's a founding member, it says on there, so that's nice. So he's obviously helped people to join or encourage people to join. This is another one from Ed. I can't quite see the name from here, but arm and leg moving at the same time, so watch out for that. Kevin's done some nice work. I think he's on here twice actually, but he's doing some great stuff. Well done again, Kevin. And a few more here. I think this may be the last one possibly, but the great work, really fantastic. Oh, not quite. There we go. Esteban McIntyre again. There's his walk cycle. I like that character. And here's my final run cycle, finally. I suppose I'm going to put it in the corner anyway, so you'll see it throughout. I couldn't get it to loop properly for some reason. I just couldn't be bothered to go back and re-render. I'm sure I could have married it up somewhere. But learned a lot this week, but ran out of time to tidy things up a bit. But very happy that I feel like I'm getting better. I hope you are too. Is there anything else for me to say? I don't think so, so this is me signing off. Happy animating seems to be my catchphrase this time round, so happy animating. Can't even say it. Happy animating, and I'll see you next time.